India is a tropical country, but in spite of that, almost 70 to 90% of the Indians are vitamin D deficient. Why? So that is the topic today we are going to discuss. So vitamin D deficiency is very common, and especially countries like India where sun is abundant, the vitamin D resources are easy and free. But in spite of that, why almost 90% of the people are deficient? The reason being, see, compared to the Western people, Indian skins are darker. The more the darker the skin, there is more melanin. The melanin is a pigment which protects your skin against the ultraviolet rays from the sunlight. So the darker people will have more melanin. So when it helps you to protect from the sunlight, the ultraviolet B rays are also filtered. So vitamin D synthesis is reduced. So that is why, compared to a white skin person, at least 5 times more exposure is needed to produce vitamin D. So this is number one reason. Number two, uh, 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 most of the urbanization has taken is as a reason for that, because of taller buildings, the all closed buildings, the exposure to sunlight is very less. So people are less exposed to sunlight. Though tropical country, though we think we have abundant of sunlight, but we are not completely exposed to sunlight. And the fear towards sunlight. So okay, it's very hot. I may sweat. I may get skin burn. All these things leads to people to stay within the indoors. So most of the time, the peak sunlight between 10 to 3, most of the Indians are either they're working, they're studying, or they stay at home or inside indoor. So that reduces their exposure to the sunlight. And culturally, long sleeve dresses fully covering the whole body and applying sunscreen, all these things leads to less exposure to sunlight. And most of the Indians are vegetarians, and vegetarian diet is completely deficient in iron, B12, calcium, and vitamin D3. And not only that, vegetarian diet has more phytates. These phytates reduce the absorption of vitamin D. And the new trend, anything white you avoid, like people most of the time they avoid milk is a good source of vitamin D. So when they don't take milk, again the vitamin D deficiency can happen. And not only that, most of the time, even in the vegetarian those days, they will be taking the groundwater, natural groundwater. So these groundwater will have solutes like calcium, iron, all the minerals, everything. But now everything is RO water, everything is bottled water. So the solutes or the nutrients in the water, groundwater, has been removed for the taste and for the color. So naturally, the natural availability of vitamin D goes down, and that increases the vitamin D deficiency. So vitamin deficiency usually, you know, can be it's a fat soluble vitamin, and usually it is measured in the blood level, and if it is very less, then the doctors may prescribe medications. And usually the symptoms, they may feel tired, they can easily get osteoporosis and fractures in the bone, dullness, memory loss. And vitamin D is very, very essential for the insulin sensitivity. So if you are diabetic and your sugar is not under control, probably a certain percentage is because of vitamin D deficiency. So the doctors will order for the blood test, and if it shows very less, probably they may give 60K units of vitamin D weekly once for 8 weeks, followed by monthly once for 8 months, plus natural way of taking food, encouraging non-vegetarian. And otherwise, they may sometimes give you every day 5,000 units. So, but accordingly, the doctors will decide how much of vitamin D is required. So, vitamin D deficiency is very common in India in spite of the sunlight. So, expose yourself. What is a minimum amount? Minimum 30 to 45 minutes of direct sunlight exposure, not through the windows, not the thing. Direct sunlight exposure of 30 to 45 minutes, plus 25% of the body should be exposed to sunlight. Suppose you are having a full sleeve helmet, definitely the exposure is less. So 25% of the body should be exposed, and 30 to 45 minutes of direct exposure of sunlight plus naturally through the food. That is how we can reduce the vitamin D deficiency. Thank you.